Hey, what's up, everybody? I felt the need to do this video for the simple fact that I'm hearing everybody they criticizing McNabb, calling him a hater, this, that, and the third, calling him Mick choke, this, that. Oh, he didn't win us a Super Bowl. He choked. He didn't get the job done. Whatever the case is. Now understand something. When it comes to me and it comes to the Eagles, I'm devoted, like die hard, whatever. But I'm 50-50 critical with every player that we have on this team. So a player could be my favorite player, but I'm not gonna fully praise a player. And then if you ask me about, well, what does he need to work on, what's like, or whatever, I'm not gonna be blank minded like a lot of people. But the thing about McNabb is this, man. A lot of people say he's bitter towards the organization. I don't know how he personally feels about the Eagles organization, but I know him now as an analyst. He has a right to his opinion, and I mean, it seems to me like a lot of fans get butthurt or quick to get offended when somebody's not kissing our team's ass or whatever. Like, just because McNabb played for the Eagles doesn't mean he has to be 100% devoted to the Eagles as an analyst. Like, just because you see like other guys that play for our rival teams that talk about us, doesn't mean McNabb has to side with us by any means. He's not an Eagle anymore. He's an analyst now. So, I mean, but I will say this. As an NFL quarterback, and he been in the NFL for 13 years, quarterbacks like him, quarterbacks like Tony Romo, quarterbacks like Tom Brady, these guys all have endured harsh criticism from the media, from the fans, from anybody with public input. Now you're dealing with an era where we got a lot of social media, whereas the fans can interact more with sports talk and things like that. Now McNabb, on the other hand, like a lot of people say he's jealous of Nick Foles. McNabb has no reason to be jealous of Foles. Just like Nick Foles shouldn't be put in a category whereas he has to compete with McNabb. First of all, McNabb played here for 11 seasons. Foles been here for 3. Like, he has to play here long as McNabb did, or even about 8 or 9 years before like you can compare the comparisons. Nick Foles is a great quarterback. Nick Foles is our guy. You know what I'm saying? So our guy, I'm gonna stand behind 100%. But I'm not gonna sit here and act like Nick Foles is this guy that doesn't deserve any kind of criticism by any means. Like, I wasn't like that when McNabb was here. I wasn't like that when Vic was here. I wasn't like that when any quarterback was here. If you're doing wrong, you're doing wrong. But I'm not the type of fan that's gonna trash you just for your opinion. Now, the thing about Nick Foles is he had a spectacular year last year, and me and my brother, we debate about everything. So we debated about Nick Foles this year, and I said, Zay, what you need to understand is this: any fan who didn't pay attention to Nick Foles' weaknesses last year won't understand that he's going to have his faults this season. It comes down to game film, whereas teams now, they study a bunch of film on you. They point out your weaknesses. They point out your good attributes, this, that, and the third. So what's going on with Nick Foles this year is he's going through the process of being a starting quarterback for 16 games. But the cons come when defenses know you now. And his interceptions and things like that, that's all a part of the growing process of becoming a quarterback. And it didn't surprise me that it actually surprised me that he has as many interceptions as he has, because a lot of the interceptions he throws, he don't have to throw. But that's besides the point. Like, Nick Foles is our guy, you know what I'm saying, and he's going to be our guy as long as he's here. To compare him to McNabb is just foolish, because McNabb was, I mean, a lot of people say Randall was, but McNabb was probably arguably the greatest quarterback the Eagles ever had as far as records and everything. So his opinion on the Eagles is, it might have a little bitterness in it, but I doubt it. I think McNabb just knows what it takes to be a quarterback in the city of Philadelphia, and he knows what Nick Foles is going to go through if he's not playing up to par. Because when you set the bar so high as a quarterback, a lot of the fans expect you to repeat that without realizing that sometimes you set the bar so high it's not repeatable. Like McNabb. McNabb curse was he been to 5 NFC championships and 1 Super Bowl. So he left the black cloud of if you don't make it to 5 NFC championships, this is the way it's supposed to be. He should have set the bar. His bar should be set where if you don't win us a Super Bowl, you can't be greater than he was. In order to be greater than arguably the greatest quarterback in the city, is to accomplish what he hasn't. Nick Foles hasn't accomplished what McNabb has, and he hasn't been here long enough to do that yet. Now, if he wins the Super Bowl this year, next year, okay, he got us over the hump. He did what McNabb couldn't. That's when you can say that. Right now, it's just hearsay. You can just point out that he could do that, or he's going to do that. But it's all just your opinion. It's not a fact until it happens. Now, as far as where McNabb ranked us, McNabb's an analyst. This is his job to study everything, watch everything, and go over everything that happens in the sport of football, or in any sport he has to voice his analytical opinion on. So, if you look at how we played, and don't get me wrong, I'm very happy to be 5-1, but this is from an analyst standpoint. If I was an analyst, I would say, okay, you got Arizona, you still got Carolina, you got the Seahawks, you got the Green Bay Packers, like, you got the Dallas Cowboys twice, you got to play the Giants again, and these are pretty much our hardest games that we have to play. Now, a real fan would look at how these 6 games played out, and they would really understand that, okay, Jacksonville turned out to be 0-6. Washington turned out to be 1-5. San Francisco is 4-2. I'm not sure what Luck's record is. I think it's 3. I think he may be 3-2 or maybe 4-2. I'm not sure, but I know since Andrew Luck lost to us, he hasn't lost a game since. And they was talking about him, teams that start 0-2 like don't really make the playoffs. So Luck's pretty much putting that fact to rest, because it looks like the Colts will make the playoffs anyway. Now, as far as Chip Kelly's resume, I don't really count Green Bay as a playoff team last year. Yeah, they did sneak in, but their record was terrible. So far, we only beat 1 playoff team in Chip Kelly's tenure here. Yeah, he has about what are we, 5-1 this year, and we were 10-6 last year, 10-7 if you include that playoff loss to the Saints. So we're 15-8 in his tenure here. Only one of those wins came against a playoff team. So, I mean, but if you look at the games, like game 1 against Jacksonville, we did have to come back in that game, but I'm pretty sure nobody thought Nick Foles would like have 3 turnovers on like the first 4 possessions. Like, that just didn't happen. But this is my point about McNabb. He sounds like a hater because he calls out, like, he speaks in the sense of like he's calling out how Eagles fans are. Now, case in point, in that first game, Foles had the 2 fumbles and the interception. Everybody was calling for like, not everybody, but a lot of fans was calling for Sanchez to come in the game. They wanted Foles to be benched. Now, this is the thing. When I put on my Eagles page, would you take Mark Sanchez as a backup long before we signed him? A lot of fans were saying, oh no, we don't want butt fumble here. We don't want him here. He sucks, this, that, and the third. Till he blows us away in the preseason and win us over. Now you're actually calling for a beloved guy to be benched for a guy you didn't even want on the Eagles. And the only way to justify that to me is being biased. Like, I understand fans want to win. They want the player that's in there doing right. But to be a fan, you got to be there for your team in critical times and in down times just as much as you are when they're doing good. If everybody that plays bad, you call to be put on the bench for the guy that you think is better, and then when that guy starts to play better and you're acting like you've been all happy-go-lucky cheering the whole time, you look biased. And there's plenty of people that's going to call you out on that. Now, We came back and we beat Jacksonville. We came back and we beat the Colts. We played Washington and it went down to the wire. But I don't really as far as division games go, they could go either way. I don't give a damn how bad your team doing, bad other teams are doing in the division, how much you think they suck. When you play a division game, it can always go either way. When you play any game, it can go either way. But I got a different outlook on division games. Then we play the 49ers, we lose. We come back, we play St. Louis. Now we did have that defensive collapse in the fourth quarter, but it didn't cost us the game. So we did win that game. But before the season started, if you look at Jacksonville, Washington, the only team I might have picked us having trouble against was the Colts and the 49ers. I didn't see us having trouble like beating Washington. Well, actually, I was a little worried about Washington, I'm not going to lie, because they did up their offensive ante. But I didn't think we were going to lose this. And there was plenty of people. I put my fantasy team up on my Eagles page, and I got Peyton Manning and I got Nick Foles. A lot of people said start Nick Foles because Peyton Manning is playing the Colts, and Foles is just going to trash the Jacksonville Jaguars. So I started Nick Foles, and he had the game he had. We did come back and win, but I mean, that's how confident we were that we were just going to easily beat Jacksonville. We were going to easily beat St. Louis. Like, these were teams we just looked past, and we had trouble against these teams. Now, from McNabb's standpoint, I'm not really mad he ranked us number 8 for the simple fact that McNabb is looking at how we played earlier this year and how we have to play against these teams now are hard teams to play. Like, our easy part of our schedule, we should be 5-1. We had a chance to be 6-0. But our record don't surprise anybody because they had us winning these games anyway. Now, you look at the Seahawks, you look at Carolina, you look at these is hard teams that we got to play. And, you know, we got to play the Packers with Aaron Rodgers more than likely this year. Last year, we played them against a third-string quarterback. It was an easy win. So, like, as far as an analyst, he's just doing his job. I don't think he has hatred towards the Eagles. I think he's realistic. And a lot more fans need to be realistic. Because if you're going to get butthurt over every little thing that somebody says that's not positive about the Eagles just because we're 5-1, then as a fan it makes us look soft. Like, that's not the passion and everything that us Eagles fans are about. We're more so about, okay, we never been respected. We won't get respected until we win a Super Bowl. So for McNabb to show us, in a sense, some kind of disrespect because of the way he ranked us, it doesn't really bother me because we're never going to get that respect until our team wins the Super Bowl. Like, they totally disrespected the Seahawks last year in the Super Bowl and said Peyton Manning is just going to devour them. What did the Seahawks do? They went out there and they took their respect and they won that Super Bowl. That's what the Eagles have to do. And us as fans, we have to stop getting butthurt and getting our feelings hurt because somebody says something bad. Like Chris Collinsworth. All last year, Nick Foles was doing great. Chris Collinsworth say one thing about critical of Nick Foles' play, and everybody hates him. This year, he say we're going to win a Super Bowl. Everybody loves him again. Like, that's not what us Eagles fans are about. Like, the sensitive shit need to stop. Like, McNabb don't have to kiss our ass. And everything he did here, like, until you match those statistics, I don't care if you say he puked in the Super Bowl, what the hell ever you gotta say. He's my favorite quarterback, but I didn't like his mentality as far as like how he never felt our pain when he did wrong. Like throwing interceptions and smiling, and then he thinking smiling was a good thing because he didn't let us get to him. When he never really understood that all we wanted to know was you felt passionate about your mistakes and what you did wrong as we did. Like, that's all that mattered to McNabb. Like, that's all that we wanted from McNabb. But then you got a lot of fans, they booed him on draft day. Like, and even now, like, if you take Nick Foles and put him in McNabb's spot, and McNabb is the quarterback now playing like Nick Foles, A lot of y'all would not be sitting here saying, "Oh, Nick Foles needs to shut the hell up. He needs to be quiet because he choked. He never won us a Super Bowl." If you gave Nick Foles McNabb statistics and all the things McNabb did accomplish here, and you put McNabb as that first full-time starter in Nick Foles' spot right now, a lot of y'all wouldn't say that about Nick Foles. Y'all would be busy bragging about everything he accomplished and saying he has a good point and he's absolutely right. There's nothing wrong with what McNabb said. Like, if he ranked us low, he ranked us low. Like, even if it is bitterness, he's an analyst now. He's not the Eagles quarterback. And a lot of y'all know how y'all treated him when he was here. So, it's not really like he cares because he knows what's going to happen to Nick Foles. And a lot of y'all fans proved it in the Jacksonville game. He knows what's going to happen to Nick Foles. If we were in 5-1 right now, a lot of fans probably would have turned on Nick Foles by now. Because it showed in the Jacksonville game. A lot of fans showed their true colors. Yeah, you love a guy when he's doing awesome. But he can't really do anything wrong like he did. Or y'all going to call for his benching. He said that about Tebow. He said Tebow need to get the hell off Twitter and focus on getting himself right for the Jets season. A lot of fans, McNabb need to shut his mouth. Okay, what happened to Tim Tebow? He's not even in the NFL no more. Nobody said McNabb was right about that. McNabb said what he said about RG3. Y'all young guys, y'all think y'all got it all figured out. You're being brainwashed in Washington when the shit hit the fan and everybody's turning against you. Then you look around and you wonder like why nobody's helping you out. RG3, they didn't care that he was injured for real because they had Kirk Cousins. Everybody thought Kirk Cousins was a better quarterback than RG3 until he started stinking it up, throwing 1 million interceptions, and they realized maybe he's not the guy either. Like, McNabb knows what he's talking about. Before the season started, he said, "I don't see Nick Foles repeating what he did last year." Okay, that's common sense. But he also said, "I see him as a 25, 8 to 10 maybe interception type of guy." Oh, McNabb's such a hater. He needs to shut his mouth. Well, if you look at Nick Foles' statistics right now, he doesn't look like such a hater. He looks like a man who knows what he's talking about. Sometimes it's not hatred. It's just you know what you're talking about. And a lot of people need to stop, getting so mad about the shit that McNabb says out of his mouth because he's an analyst. Every analyst is not going to give your team props just because you think your team deserves props. And just because he played here and maybe Dawkins and Westbrook and guys like that are positive about the Eagles doesn't mean he have to be. And, if Nick Foles is here for 11 years, maybe he will win us a couple titles and everything. But you cannot put any quarterback that comes here above McNabb after their first 2 years, 3 years. It's just stupid to even do that. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, so as far as his opinion doesn't really bother me. Like, we've been getting hated. We the most disrespected team in the NFL because we don't have a Super Bowl. And until we win one, I don't care what the analysts say. The team has to go out and prove them wrong. And the fans just have to deal with it. Don't be mad at McNabb. Just root for your team till they get that ring on their finger. We gotta go out there. Our mentality gotta be, to hell with y'all analysts. Y'all don't have to respect us. Our team is gonna go out there and earn their respect once we get that ring. And it's simple as that.